The wine glass shattered against marble before I even registered I was falling. One moment, I was arranging hors d'oeuvres at the Grand Hyatt Seoul charity gala. The next, my knees buckled and the world tilted sideways. Then arms caught me. Strong arms that smelled like bergamot and something darker, aged whiskey and smoke. When I forced my eyes open, I found myself staring up at the most beautiful and terrifying man I'd ever seen. Sharp jaw, dark piercing eyes, a face carved from ice and violence. He was staring at my hand, at the antique ruby ring I'd bought for 80,000 Korean wons at a Dongdaemun market stall last week. His entire body had gone rigid. "Where did you get this?" His voice was velvet wrapped around steel, Korean with a dangerous edge. "Market stall," I whispered in broken Korean. "Please put me down." He didn't. His eyes were fixed on the ring like it held the secrets of the universe. Then he said one word that would change everything: mine. Before I could respond, someone was calling for a medic. And the man was carrying me through the crowd like he owned the place. Everyone moved aside, some looked terrified, others fascinated. "Who are you?" I managed in English. His eyes met mine. "Kong Jaiwon. And you just fainted wearing my family's stolen ring worth 30 billion Korean wons." The world went black again. Welcome, K-Soul fam. If you want to see how a ruthless man learned to feel again, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. I woke to silk sheets and the smell of jasmine. My head pounded. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming, that I was back in Lagos, in my father's house before the cancer, before the debt, before everything fell apart. Then I opened my eyes and saw him. Kong Jaiwon sat in a leather chair beside the bed, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. The city stretched out behind him like a kingdom he owned. He was turning my ring over in his hands, the rubies catching lamplight and throwing red shadows across his fingers. "You're awake." He didn't look up. His voice was softer now, almost careful. "The doctor said severe exhaustion and low blood sugar." "When did you last eat a proper meal?" My throat was dry. "Yesterday. Maybe the day before." I tried to sit up and the room spun. "Where am I?" "My home." One of them. Now he looked at me, and those dark eyes pinned me like a butterfly to a board. "Do you remember what happened? You carried me out of a ballroom full of people and told me I'm wearing something worth 30 billion won." My voice came out sharper than I intended. Panic was starting to claw at my chest. "Give me back my ring." "No." The flatness of it shocked me more than anything else that had happened tonight. "That's mine. I paid for it." "You paid 80,000 won for the Heirloom Banji, the blood ring." He set it on the nightstand between us, but made no move to give it to me. "It was commissioned in 1825 by my ancestor Park Jun-young for his bride. It's been in my family for 200 years. His jaw tightened. "It was stolen from my grandmother's hand 8 years ago during an attack that killed her and 7 of our men." The room suddenly felt too small, too warm. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I didn't steal it. There was an old woman at the market. She said it brought her family luck, that maybe it would bring me some too. I paid cash and she gave me a receipt. She lied. His voice was ice now. "And you walked into a trap meant for me." He stood, and I realized how tall he really was. How he filled the space with something more than just physical presence. Authority. Danger. The kind of power that made people move before he even asked them to. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. My Gashuan in Itiwan. A man standing outside, barely visible in the shadows. The timestamp was from 30 minutes ago. "That's Beck family. They're watching your building." Another photo. My catering van parked near Gangnam Station. Another man. "The triads are tracking your business." Another photo. My friend Amara's apartment. "The Russians have eyes on everyone you know." Ice water flooded my veins. No, that can't. Why would they?" "Because you're wearing what belongs to me." He pocketed the phone. "And in my world, Daniella Peter, that makes you either leverage or a corpse." The way he said my name, flat, factual, made it real. He knew who I was. He'd investigated me while I was unconscious. "How do you know my name?" "I know everything about you now." He started pacing, predator energy barely contained. 27 years old. Nigerian. Been in Seoul for 2 years. Working 3 jobs, catering, convenience store night shifts, English tutoring. 120 million won in debt from your father's medical bills before he died. Living in a 4 square meter room in Itaewon where the door lock's been broken for 3 months. Each fact was a slap. My hands were shaking now, fingers twisted in the silk sheets. You had no right. I had every right. He turned on me, and for the first time I saw something crack in that controlled facade. Fear. Raw, barely hidden fear. 5 crime families in Seoul know that ring resurfaced tonight. They saw you wearing it at a gala I was attending. They're trying to figure out who you are, where you came from, and how they can use you to get to it. His voice dropped. Or to me. Then take it. The words burst out of me. Give them the ring. I don't want it. I don't want any of this. Just let me go home. Home to your Gashwan where the door doesn't lock? Home to a neighborhood where 3 different families have already placed surveillance. He laughed, bitter and sharp. You don't have a home anymore, Daniella. You have a target on your back. This is insane. This is, my voice cracked. You can't keep me here. This is kidnapping. This is survival. He moved to the window, shoulders tense. Let me explain something about my world because you're in it now whether you want to be or not. There are 5 families that control everything the police don't touch. We have territories, rules, treaties that have held for decades. He looked back at me. But the blood ring is different. It's legend. It's power. Every family knows the story. What story? That every woman who's worn this ring has either married into the Kang family or died trying to take it off. His eyes held mine. My great-great-great-grandmother wore it for 60 years. My grandmother wore it from her wedding day until assassins killed her for it. She died protecting my father, protecting this family's legacy. My chest was tight. I couldn't breathe right. You're saying it's cursed. I'm saying it's valuable. And in my world, valuable things get people killed. He crossed his arms. The moment I hand that ring over, I show weakness. I admit I can be threatened, manipulated. Every family in Seoul will come for me, testing boundaries, pushing limits, taking territory. His hands clenched into fists. And they'll kill you anyway because you're a loose end. A witness. Someone who wore what belongs to me. So what? The words came out harsh, desperate. You're going to keep me locked in here forever? I'm going to keep you alive. Something flickered in his expression. Even if you hate me for it. The silence that followed was suffocating. Outside, Seoul hummed and glittered, oblivious. In here, my entire life had just shattered like that wine glass on marble. The woman at the market, I said quietly. She knew what this was, didn't she? This was deliberate. Yes. His voice was barely above a whisper. Beck family. They're my rivals, have been for 3 generations. They used you as bait to smoke me out, to confirm if the ring was real. His jaw worked. They didn't count on me being at that gala. And they didn't count on what I'd do after I saw you wearing it. What did you do? He turned to face me fully, and I saw something I hadn't expected. Vulnerability. Raw, painful vulnerability. I said the word mine in front of 3 of my most trusted men and half a ballroom full of witnesses. He swallowed hard. In my world, in the old traditions, that word has power. It's a claim. A declaration. His eyes locked onto mine. I just made you mine in front of everyone who matters. Whether either of us is ready for what that means. My breath caught. What does that mean? But he was already walking to the door. Get some rest. Mrs. Han will bring you food. Eat all of it, you're too thin. His hand paused on the doorknob. Tomorrow, I'll show you the journals. Every woman who wore that ring left writings. You should know what you've walked into. Jaiwin. His name felt strange on my tongue. Intimate. He paused. That woman at the market, why did she choose me? His expression darkened. Because you were alone. Foreign. Desperate enough to buy a ring for 80,000 won and think it was lucky. His voice was gentle now, almost tender. They prey on people like you, Daniella. People who've lost so much they'll believe in anything that promises hope. He left. The door closed with a soft click. I heard the lock engage from the outside. I stared at the ring. 200 years old. Worth 30 billion won. Connected to murders and legends and a man who'd looked at me like I was simultaneously precious and dangerous. Just a ring. So why did my finger feel naked without it? For a disorienting moment, I thought I was late for my convenience store shift. Then I saw the silk sheets, the unfamiliar ceiling, and reality crashed back. I was a prisoner in a penthouse. The door opened. I tensed, but it wasn't Jaiwan. An older woman entered, carrying a tray. She had kind eyes and silver hair pulled into a neat bun. "Good morning, Miss Peter. I'm Mrs. Han." Her English was accented but clear. "I've brought breakfast." She set the tray on the bed. Mayakuk seaweed soup, grilled mackerel, perfectly arranged banchan, and in the center, unmistakably, was jollof rice. My throat tightened. "How did you?" "Mr. Kong called me at 5 this morning. Sent someone to Itaewon to buy the ingredients." She smoothed the blanket with practiced hands. "He said you would need something from home." I stared at the rice, at the care that had gone into making it, at the thoughtfulness from a man who'd locked me in a room. "Is he always like this?" Mrs. Han's expression softened. "Mr. Kang is complicated. His father raised him to be stone. But his mother, before she passed, she raised him to be human." She moved to the window, opened the curtains wider. "The stone cracks sometimes. Usually when he thinks no one is watching." "How long have you worked for him?" "Since he was 8 years old. I watched him become the man his father demanded, watched him bury the boy his mother loved." She turned to me, and her eyes were sad. "Until last night. When he carried you in here, I saw that boy again. Terrified. Desperate to protect something precious." "I'm not precious. I'm a stranger who bought the wrong ring." "Are you?" She smiled knowingly. "Then why did he sit in that chair all night watching you sleep? Why did he make 6 phone calls in English so you could understand if you woke? Why is his first question every time I see him, is she eating? Is she comfortable? Is she afraid?" My hands trembled around the soup spoon. "This is insane." "Yes," Mrs. Han agreed. "But in Mr. Kang's world, sanity died a long time ago. All that's left is survival and rare moments of humanity." She moved to the door. "Eat, Miss Peter. You'll need your strength. The families are circling, and Mr. Kang is making plans that will change everything." She left me alone with food that tasted like home and questions that had no safe answers. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jaiwan's face when he'd looked at the ring. Felt his arms around me. Heard that word. Mine. Then I heard music. Piano. Someone playing Chopin with the kind of skill that suggested years of training. I should have stayed in the room. Should have kept distance between myself and this dangerous man who'd upended my life. Instead, I found myself following the sound through the hallway. The apartment was massive, sprawling, decorated with art that probably cost more than my entire neighborhood. Everything chosen with care, with an eye for beauty that seemed at odds with what I knew about Jaiwan's world. The music led me to a room with double doors standing open. I stopped at the threshold. Jaiwan sat at a grand piano, still dressed in the white shirt and dark slacks from earlier, but with the shirt unbuttoned at the collar and sleeves rolled to his elbows. His fingers moved over the keys with surprising delicacy. His eyes were closed. For the first time since I'd met him, his face looked relaxed. Younger. Less burdened. I must have made a sound because his eyes opened. His hands stilled. "You should be sleeping. So should you." I stayed in the doorway, suddenly uncertain. "You play beautifully. My mother insisted I learn. She said music was the only thing that could civilize savage men." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. She was probably right. "When did she die?" The smile faded. "When I was 12. Cancer. 3 months from diagnosis to grave." His fingers traced the keys without pressing them. "My father became different after. Harder. The parts of him she kept human died with her." Something in my chest ached. I'd heard the story before in my own life, in my own grief. "I lost my father 3 years ago. Also cancer. That's why I came to Seoul. Running from the grief, I guess. Thought if I was far enough away, it wouldn't hurt as much." His eyes met mine, and I saw understanding there. Shared loss. Did it work? No. The word came out raw. It just meant I was alone when it caught up with me. He stood, moved to a bar cart, poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. Handed me one. "Soju. My grandfather's recipe. I sipped. It burned, but warmly. Tasted like honey and smoke and something indefinable. Tell me about him. Your father. So I did. I told him about my father's restaurant in Lagos, how he'd built it from nothing. About his laugh that filled rooms. About how he taught me to cook, to find joy in feeding people. About the debt from his medical bills that had forced me to sell everything, to come to Seoul chasing a catering contract that had fallen through the moment I landed. Jaiwon listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said quietly, "You love feeding people. Not just because of him. Because it's who you are." Yes. It felt like a confession. Is that stupid? Killing myself with 3 jobs for a dream that's probably already dead. No. It's human. He swirled his soju. I kill myself every day, maintaining an empire built on fear. At least your legacy is joy. Mine is corpses. The bitterness in his voice was sharp enough to cut. Do you want to do something else? The question seemed to surprise him. He stared at me for a long moment. No one's ever asked me that. I'm asking. He was quiet then. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. When I was young, before my mother died, I wanted to be a chef. Loved the idea of creating something that made people happy, even for a moment. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. My father beat that dream out of me. Literally. My hand found his arm before I could think better of it. It's not too late. His eyes dropped to where my fingers touched his sleeve. Isn't it? I don't know. I squeezed gently. But I know that carrying someone else's dream instead of your own is its own kind of death. Something shifted in his expression. His hand covered mine, warm and calloused. You should go back to bed, Daniella. Why? Because if you stay. His voice roughened. I might do something stupid. My heart was pounding. Like what? Like forget you're here because I claimed you in front of witnesses. Like forget this is about protection and strategy. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. Like kiss you because I want to, not because I have to. I should have pulled away. Should have remembered this man was dangerous, that I was his prisoner, that nothing about this situation was normal or safe. Instead, I said, "What if I want you to?" His breath caught. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then his free hand came up to cut my face, and he was kissing me soft, tentative, like he was afraid I might disappear if he pressed too hard. I melted into it. Into him. Into this moment of impossible tenderness from a man who dealt in violence. When we pulled apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. "This is insane," I whispered. "Probably. We've known each other for 12 hours. I know. You're a mafia boss who's keeping me prisoner. I know that too." His eyes met mine, raw and vulnerable. "But when I'm with you, Daniella, I'm not that person. I'm just me. And I haven't been just me in 20 years. My chest felt tight, full of something I couldn't name. "What happens now?" "Now you go back to bed." He stepped back, putting distance between us. "And tomorrow, we figure out how to keep you alive." 3 days passed. 3 days of being trapped in that penthouse while Jaiwon disappeared for hours and came back with tension in his shoulders and sometimes blood on his knuckles he tried to hide. But he also had Mrs. Han bring me Nigerian food, jollof rice, egusi soup, puff puff. He left books in languages I could read. Asked about my favorite movies, my dreams, my fears. We argued about everything. Politics. Music. Whether anime was better than K-dramas. Whether Lagos or Seoul had better street food. And every night, I found him at that piano. Every night, we talked until dawn. On the 4th day, he took me out. "Where are we going?" I asked as 4 bodyguards flanked us to a black SUV. "You'll see." We drove through Seoul, through neighborhoods I recognized and some I didn't. Finally, we stopped in Itaewon, in front of a small café with boarded-up windows. "This place was closing last month," Jaiwon said, gesturing to the building. "Owner couldn't keep up with rent. I bought it 3 days ago." My heart stopped. "Why?" "Because you're going to run it." He turned to me, and I saw something fierce in his eyes. Something almost desperate. "Your catering business, you're good, but you're limited. This gives you a kitchen. A space. A future. I can't accept this. It's not charity. It's strategy. His voice was firm. If you're under my protection, you need to be visible, established. A cafe owner with my backing is untouchable. A struggling caterer is vulnerable. So this is about control. This is about keeping you alive. He stepped closer, and I could smell that bergamot and smoke scent that was becoming familiar. But also, I've tasted what you can do, Daniella. The jollof rice Mrs. Han made from your recipe. The way you talk about food, about feeding people. You deserve more than surviving on convenience store shifts. You deserve to build something. The sincerity in his voice made my eyes burn. Why do you care? He was quiet for a long moment. Traffic hummed around us. Seoul moved on, oblivious. Because when I caught you, he finally said, when I saw that ring on your finger, something in me recognized something in you. Survivors. Fighters. People trying to honor the dead by refusing to give up. He looked away. And because you asked me what I wanted. Not what the family needed. Not what my father expected. What I wanted. No one's done that since my mother died. My hand found his. Our fingers interlaced. Thank you, I whispered. His grip tightened. Don't thank me yet. We were leaving the cafe, talking about menu ideas and renovations, when it happened. 3 black vans screeched to a stop. Men poured out, too many men, all armed, all moving with military precision. Jaiwon's bodyguards moved instantly, forming a barrier. Jaiwon's hand was iron around my wrist, pulling me behind him. Last chance, Kong, someone shouted in Korean. I caught enough words to understand. Give us the ring or we take the girl. Jaiwon's response was cold, deadly calm. You touch her and I burn your entire family to ash. Then gunfire exploded. The world became chaos. Jaiwon was dragging me, running. His men were firing back. Glass shattered. People screamed. Someone grabbed my arm and Jaiwon spun, his elbow connecting with a face, blood spraying. We made it to the SUV. Tires screamed. Seoul blurred past the windows. Are you hurt? His hands were on my face, checking for injuries, moving over my arms, my shoulders. Daniella, look at me. Are you hurt? No. I'm okay. But I was shaking, adrenaline crashing through me in waves that made my teeth chatter. He pulled me against his chest, and I felt his heart hammering just as hard as mine. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should never have taken you out. No. I pulled back, looked him in the eyes. You saved me. Again. Something shifted in his expression. Fear giving way to something else. Something that looked like. He kissed me. Desperate. Fierce. Like I was oxygen and he was drowning. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he whispered against my lips, I can't lose you. Then don't. If you're hooked, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment. Tell me, would you trust a man like Jaiwon? Because what happens next will test everything. Back at the penthouse, Jaiwon made calls. Gave orders in rapid Korean that I couldn't follow. His men came and went, faces grim. Finally, he turned to me. The golden hour light streaming through the windows turned his face into sharp angles and shadows. There's only one way to end this. My stomach dropped. What? I call a meeting. All 5 families. I make a declaration. His jaw was tight, muscle jumping. I tell them the ring isn't for sale, isn't for trade, because it belongs exactly where it is. On my finger. On my wife's finger. The world stopped. Outside, Seoul hummed. Inside, I couldn't hear anything over the blood rushing in my ears. Jaiwon. I know it's insane. I know we've known each other for 8 days. I know I have no right to ask. He crossed to me, took both my hands in his. His palms were warm, calloused. But in my world, marriage is protection. It's law. If you're my wife, touching you means war with the Kong family. No one will risk it. So this is strategy. It started as strategy. His eyes held mine, and I saw fear there. Raw, painful fear. But somewhere between catching you and arguing about K-dramas and listening to you talk about your father's restaurant and feeling like I could breathe for the first time in 20 years. His voice cracked. It became real. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. You're saying you love me. I'm saying I don't know what love looks like in my world. I've seen obsession, possession, control dressed up as affection. His thumbs trace circles on my wrists. But I know that when I'm with you, I'm not the monster my father made me. I'm just me. And I want to spend whatever time I have left being that person. He swallowed hard. Even if it's selfish. Even if it's wrong. Even if you hate me for asking. I thought about my father. About what he'd say if he could see me now. He'd always told me, Danny, don't survive. Live. Choose people who make you brave. Jaiwan made me brave. Okay, I whispered. His eyes widened. Okay, let's get married. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then he was pulling me into his arms, holding me so tight I could barely breathe, and I realized his shoulders were shaking. I'll protect you, he said into my hair. I swear on my mother's grave, on everything I have, I will keep you safe. I know. I pulled back, cupped his face. But you have to promise me something too. Anything. Promise me you'll let me protect you back. Promise me this isn't just you saving broken things. Promise me we're partners. Something fierce and bright flashed in his eyes. Partners. Partners. He kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promises neither of us knew if we could keep. 2 days later, we stood in a private room at the Shilla Hotel. 5 families gathered around a long table. Dozens of dangerous men in expensive suits. And me, wearing the blood ring and a simple white dress, standing beside Kong Jaiwan. He addressed them in Korean, his voice commanding. I caught enough words to understand. Mine. Wife. Kong family. Untouchable. War. The Beck family patriarch stood, face red with rage. He argued, gestured violently, threatened. Jaiwan's response was ice. He switched to English, and I realized it was for my benefit. You used an innocent woman as bait. You put a target on someone who had nothing to do with our world. That breaks every code we have, every rule that keeps this city from tearing itself apart. He turned to address the entire room. Daniella Peter is now Daniella Kong. She has my name, my protection, and my ring. Anyone who touches her, anyone who even threatens her, answers to me. And you all know what that means. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then, one by one, the families bowed. Acknowledgement. Acceptance. It was over. We married for real a week later. Small ceremony at a hanok in Bukshan. Just his most trusted men and my best friend Amara, who flew in from Lagos and cried through the entire thing. When the officiant said I could kiss my bride, Jaiwan hesitated. His hand came up to cut my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. May I? He whispered. I smiled through tears. You'd better. He kissed me soft, tender, like I was precious. Like I was home. Later, at the café, our café now, renovated and beautiful, I taught him to make puff puff while he taught me to make kimchi. We laughed. We burned things. We kissed in the kitchen while dough rose and soup simmered. You know, I said, watching him knead dough with surprising skill. In Lagos, my grandmother used to say, some people are sent to wake up your soul. I think you woke up mine. And you woke up what was left of my humanity. He pulled me close, flour dusting my hair. Thank you for falling, Daniella. Thank you for catching me. 6 months later, the cafe was thriving. Nigerian Korean fusion that Seoul had never seen. Lines out the door every morning. Food bloggers raving about the jollof rice kimchi jjigae, the suya bulgogi, the puff puff filled with red bean paste. I stood at the window, watching Jaiwan at a table, teaching a group of kids from the local community center how to make mandu. He'd started a program, free cooking classes for underprivileged youth. Every Saturday morning, he was there, patient and gentle, encouraging them to create. The monster was learning to build instead of destroy. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Mrs. Kong. A woman's voice. Elderly. Familiar. Do you remember me? From the market? My blood ran cold. The woman who'd sold me the ring. Beck family. What do you want? To apologize. And to tell you something. She paused, and I heard traffic in the background. My grandmother wore that ring once. Before the Kangs. Before anyone remembers. It's older than 200 years. Much older. What are you saying? The legend isn't about marrying into the Kang family. It's about finding your match. Your equal. Your soul's mirror. Her voice softened. Every woman who wore it and died? They tried to take it off. Tried to run from their fate. But you embraced it. That's why you lived. Why are you telling me this? Because true love is rare in our world. And when it appears, even enemies must honor it. She paused. Your husband has 3 men watching me right now, doesn't he? I looked at Jaiwon. He was looking back at me, phone to his ear, eyes sharp. Yes, I said. Good. He's learning. She laughed, soft and knowing. Take care of him, Mrs. Kong. Men like him, they're either monsters or miracles. You made him choose the latter. She hung up. I stood there for a moment, phone still pressed to my ear, processing her words. The ring felt warm on my finger. Alive almost. Jaiwon crossed the café to me, leaving the kids with one of our staff members. His hand found the small of my back, protective, familiar. What did she say? That the ring is older than anyone knows. That it's about finding your match, not about family legacy. I looked up at him. That I lived because I chose to stay. His jaw tightened. Do you believe her? I don't know. I twisted the ring absently. Does it matter? Whether it's magic or legend or just a story people tell themselves, we're here. We're real. That's what matters. He pulled me closer, pressed a kiss to my forehead. Come on. The kids want to show you something. We walked back to the table where Jiun, the 12-year-old, was practically bouncing with excitement. Mrs. Kang, look what we made. She gestured to a platter of mandu, carefully arranged in the shape of a heart. Mr. Kong taught us how to do designs. My throat tightened. It's beautiful, sweetheart. We made it for you, the small boy Minho said shyly. Because Mr. Kong said you've been working really hard and you deserve something special. I looked at Jaiwon. He shrugged, but I saw the softness in his eyes. Well then, I said, voice thick with emotion, we'd better steam these and eat them together. Can't let this artwork go to waste. The kids cheered. For the next hour, we cooked together, all of us crowded in the kitchen. Jaiwon showed them how to work the steamer. I taught them my mother's trick for the perfect dipping sauce. We laughed. We made a mess. We burned exactly 1 batch because Minho got distracted telling a story about his pet goldfish. It was perfect. Normal. The kind of Saturday I dreamed about when I was drowning in debt and loneliness in that tiny Gashwan room. After the kids left, after we'd cleaned up and locked the door, Jaiwon and I sat at our favorite table by the window. The sun was setting, painting Seoul in shades of amber and rose. Tired? He asked, reaching across to take my hand. Exhausted. Happy. I squeezed his fingers. You were good with them today. Really good. They make it easy. He smiled, but there was something hesitant in his expression. Daniella, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's just. He took a breath. My father called this morning. He wants to meet you. Officially. I'd met Kong Sr. exactly once, at our wedding. He'd been cold, disapproving, barely said 3 words to me. The message was clear. I wasn't good enough for his son. What did you tell him? I told him we'd think about it. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I also told him that if he can't treat you with respect, we won't be coming. That you're not some subordinate he can intimidate, you're my wife. My partner. And he can either accept that or he can stay out of our lives. Jaiwon. I mean it. His eyes were fierce. I've spent my whole life trying to be what he wanted. Strong. Ruthless. Unfeeling. But you've shown me there's another way. And I'm not going back to being that person. Not for him. Not for anyone. I felt tears prick my eyes. What did he say? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, she's changed you. And I said, yes. For the better. Jaiwon's voice softened. He didn't argue. Just said he'd wait for our answer. Do you want to see him? Part of me does. Part of me wants him to see what we've built here. The café. The kids' program. A life that's about more than territory and violence. He looked around the café, at the fusion menu on the walls, at the photos of smiling customers. I want him to see that his way isn't the only way. Then we'll go. I said it firmly, decided. We'll go together, and we'll show him exactly who we are. He smiled, relieved and grateful. Partners? Always. We sat there as Seoul lit up outside, the city transforming into a galaxy of lights. Somewhere out there, 5 families still operated in the shadows. Deals were still being made. Violence still simmered beneath the surface. But here, in our café, surrounded by the smell of kimchi and jollof rice and hope, we'd carved out something different. Something real. Can I ask you something? Jaiwan said after a while. Anything. Do you ever regret it? Buying the ring? Everything that came after. I looked down at the blood ring on my finger. The rubies caught the streetlight and threw red shadows across the table, across our joined hands. Did I regret it? I thought about that day at the market. About being so desperate for something, anything, that felt like luck. About an old woman with knowing eyes who'd handed me a ring and changed my entire life. I thought about fainting in a ballroom and being caught by arms that smelled like bergamot and smoke. About being locked in a penthouse and falling for my captor. About gunfire and blood and fear. But I also thought about late-night piano music and conversations that lasted until dawn. About jollof rice that tasted like home. About a man who'd learned to be soft again because I'd asked him what he wanted. About Saturday mornings with kids who needed someone to believe in them. About choosing love when safety would have been easier. No, I said finally, certainly. I don't regret it. Not for a second. Even though it was dangerous? Especially because it was dangerous. I met his eyes. Safe would have been staying in that Goshawan, working 3 jobs, surviving but not living. Safe would have been going back to Lagos with nothing to show for my time here but debt and grief. I stood, moved around the table to sit in his lap. His arms came around me automatically, secure, home. You asked me once if I thought carrying someone else's dream was its own kind of death, I said softly. Well, living someone else's safe, small life is death too. The ring didn't trap me, Jaiwan. It freed me. It brought me to you. He kissed me then, deep and slow and full of promise. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. I love you, he whispered. I don't think I've said that enough. But I do. Desperately. Completely. I love you too. The words felt like magic. Like truth. My beautiful, dangerous miracle. We stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other while Seoul hummed outside. 2 broken people who'd found each other through blood and rubies and fate. Eventually, we locked up the cafe and drove home. Jaiwan's penthouse, our penthouse now, filled with both our things, our life together. That night, lying in bed with the city lights painting patterns on the ceiling, I did think about fate. About choice. About whether I'd been led to that market stall or if I'd stumbled there on my own. But then Jaiwan's arm tightened around me in his sleep, and I realized it didn't matter. Some things are meant to be. Not because fate demands it, but because 2 people choose it. Every single day. In the big moments and the small ones. In the dangerous times and the peaceful ones. I chose this. I chose him. I chose us. And I'd keep choosing for as long as the ring glowed red on my finger and his heartbeat matched mine in the dark. But late at night, when Seoul slept and Jaiwan held me close, I sometimes wondered, did I choose this life, or did the ring choose it for me? If this story moved you, hit that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you choose? Subscribe for more stories about people who found home in the most unexpected places. Until next time, may you all fall into the right arms. And may you be brave enough to stay there.